Hey guys, this is Sports with Dylan. NFL starts in just a couple of days with the Lions and Chiefs on Thursday night. So I figure I will give you my NFL power rankings before the 2023 NFL season. The Rams are a team composed of three players: Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, and Cooper Kupp. All three of them are very good players, but name anyone else on the Rams aside from those three guys. That's what I thought. This team, I keep seeing predictions that they're going to go like 9-8 this year. I suspect this team is going to be very bad this coming season. So bad, they could be going for the number 1 overall pick. I'm saying like 3-4 wins tops here. I find it funny how a couple of years ago, the best division in the NFL, by far, was the NFC West. And now they've arguably got the two worst teams in the NFL. I think the Cardinals are going to be bad. But I've seen more predictions that they're going to go like 0-17, which I also think is a bit on the bad side. I still think they've got a couple of solid players. I think they've got more of an all-around team than the Rams do, despite the Rams having more three superstars, three players that are top 15 at their positions, no question. While the Cardinals don't really have anyone like that, except maybe Kyler Murray, who's currently injured. But they do have more players that are solid. The Colts team isn't awful. They've still got a couple of superstars like DeForest Buckner, Shaquille Leonard, and Quentin Nelson, as well as Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, a couple of other guys. This team isn't bad, but given the strength of the AFC and the fact that the Colts still have some glaring holes, the Colts could be a bad team for a couple more years. Hey, the Texans are at last! This is probably like the first power rankings I've done where the Texans haven't come in last. Don't get me wrong, the Texans are not looking to be a great team this year, but they should be even better this year with new coaching coming in, a new quarterback who might not be great off the bat, but I suspect that this team is going to be improved. Rounding out the top 5 worst teams in the NFL, we have a team that won the Super Bowl a mere couple of years ago. And I'm realizing now I could be talking about the Rams, but I am not. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Without Tom Brady, this team just doesn't look that good. The rest of the roster is not that bad, but the quarterback situation is what puts them in this position. If they had Tom Brady still, or any good quarterback for that matter, then they would be way, way higher on this ranking. But the fact that they're going into the season with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask as their quarterbacks means they are not going to be a very good team this year. This is going to be an interesting year in the NFL because we have a lot of good teams, which means that some of the less great teams and more just average teams could end up with some pretty high picks. And that's looking to be the case with the Vikings. I don't understand their plan for this offseason. They're a competitive team last year, but then they go and release some defensive veterans and trade away some guys. It just seems like they have no idea what they're doing right now. But they've still got Justin Jefferson, which keeps them in semi-contention. I wouldn't call them good, but based on the power of their division, they should have a mediocre record. If Sam Howell turns out at quarterback, the Commanders will skyrocket up this list. They don't have a bad team. They have solid running backs, solid wide receivers, offensive line needs work, but then a good defense. And not bad defensive backs either. But It all depends on how well Sam Howell can play. Bit by bit, the Bears are getting better. It takes a while, but this is a pretty good improvement from having the #1 overall pick last year. And they should continue to improve slowly throughout the years. You might be surprised at the Patriots being this low, especially given how they've invested. But as I mentioned, there are so many strong teams in the AFC this year. I don't think the Patriots can match up. Mac Jones is a fine quarterback, but unless he truly breaks out into a superstar this year, I don't think the Patriots are as good as what the rest of the roster could be. The Raiders are in a similar position to the Patriots. But, on the other hand, they could also be considered in a similar position to the Rams. They have some major glaring holes on their roster. Some things that just need to be fixed, like their offensive line. Their receiver depth could help, although that isn't awful. Their defensive depth on both the secondary and the front seven needs a lot of help, which keeps them down here. In a very weak division, the Falcons could actually make a push for the division crown. Same thing with the Commanders here, though. It all depends on the young quarterback in Desmond Ridder. If he can break out, the Falcons could easily win this division. But if he just plays fine at a replaceable level, then I can't see the Falcons going anywhere. The Panthers are a very similar team to the Falcons right now, because they also are relying on a young quarterback that we really don't know how he's going to play. I'm sure Bryce Young will be a superstar someday, as I've said before, but we don't know how he's going to play this year. And same thing as the Falcons. If he plays well, Panthers could easily win this division. But if he doesn't play so well in his rookie season, then it could be a long 17 games for the Panthers. This might seem pretty low for the Giants, especially after they made the playoffs this last year, and they improved over the offseason. But they are actually my 8th ranked team in the NFC. I just don't think they stack up against the AFC competition, which is very strong. It doesn't seem like it, but yes, I'm predicting the Packers to make the playoffs. Even if Jordan Love doesn't turn into a superstar, they still have a very good roster, so this team should compete for the playoffs. But, same thing with the Giants, they just can't stack up against their AFC opponents. The Titans are a confusing team. Are they trying to rebuild, or are they trying to compete? They signed DeAndre Hopkins, which always makes me think compete. But they also drafted someone like Will Levis, which makes me think, okay, maybe they're looking to bench Ryan Tannehill midway through the season and roll with some of the younger guys for the next couple of years and see how they can play. We'll just have to see. It is so nice to see the Lions up here again. I believe they will win their division this year. And they're looking pretty good. I love Dan Campbell as a coach, and I think this team will be even better this year. In a weak division, as I've mentioned multiple times, these Saints should run away with the division crown based on their roster. But you never know, they could miss a step, and if one of the other quarterbacks plays quite well, then they might not win it. We'll have to see. The Jaguars are starting to look even better, but they still need players like Trayvon Walker to break out before they can crack an even higher ranking. The Steelers actually have a pretty good roster. They do have some very solid players, and Kenny Pickett is looking to build off a solid rookie season. But, like I've said multiple times already in the past couple of minutes, this AFC is so good that I'm not sure they can compete with their current roster, especially in their division. I'm expecting the Broncos to be a lot better this year with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. They better be, or else we could be looking into what might happen to Russell Wilson this next offseason. Many people are expecting the Jets to be a lot better with Aaron Rodgers. And I think they will be vastly improved. But are they going to be one of the best teams in the NFL? I'm not sure they quite have it yet. This is very similar to Russell Wilson, except even if he plays awful this year, the Browns are sticking to Deshaun Watson. They don't have a choice. But we'll have to see. I hope he plays awfully, as I've mentioned before. That would be hilarious. Last year, the Seahawks were one of my worst ranked teams. But Geno Smith came from nowhere, broke out, and now this roster is looking to easily make the playoffs again. Despite the fact that they will be a wildcard team, they should still be a very, very good team in the NFC. Could this be the year that America's team finally makes a deep run into the playoffs? Or is the fact that they let go of offensive coordinator Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy taking over play calling duties going to screw them over? The 49ers are going to be a great team this year. It's not a question of it. The bigger question is, how great are they going to be? If Brock Purdy plays like he does last season, they could easily shoot up in these rankings. But if he starts to look more like a 7th round pick, then maybe they won't be as great. Is this too low for the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning Super Bowl champions? I'm not sure. With a weak receiving core, although Patrick Mahomes will make them look way better, and the fact that the defense isn't looking so great right now, especially without Chris Jones, could come back to bite them. I think the Dolphins are going to be much better this year, especially if hopefully Tua manages to stay healthy. Even if he doesn't, this team should still be a very good team. I told you when I was talking about the Steelers that the AFC North was going to be strong this year. And I mean strong. The Bengals are a top 5 team in the NFL, and yet aren't even the best in their own division. That has to say something. Speaking of the AFC North, it is a very tight race. The Bengals could easily take this over the Ravens, or who knows, maybe the Browns or even the Steelers could come from nowhere and take the division crown. But I'm picking the Ravens. When I look at their roster, they look like they should be competing for the Super Bowl as long as Lamar Jackson can truly stay healthy. The Bills have been up here for a while now, and yet haven't properly made the deep run that we've been waiting for them to make. Maybe that was the end of it. This team doesn't look as good as it did last year, or honestly the year before. Maybe they'll start coming down in the rankings. Maybe they won't even win their division now that it's way stronger. We'll have to see. You guys must think I'm absolutely crazy for picking the Chargers over the Chiefs in the division. And maybe I will get proven right in a couple more weeks. But maybe the Chargers will continue to be awful under dysfunctional, absolutely stupid coach in Brandon Staley, who hurts me to watch. But the rest of that team is good enough that I think they'll make up for it. The Eagles made it to the Super Bowl last year, although they end up losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. This year, they could be even better. When you look at this roster, if they keep up how they're playing last year, along with the additions they got, this team could be the Super Bowl champion of 2023. But we will have to see. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys again soon.